Today on Smokin' Sassy, we're making this fabulous brownie marshmallow dessert with a scoop of ice cream.
Oh my gosh, and we don't do a lot of desserts, but this looks like heaven.
This one's amazing. So let me tell you the story about this dessert. Jen and I, we go to California, Central Coast, at least once a year. We didn't go last year because of COVID. We just got back. And there's a restaurant called Full Life Foods. And it's a farm-to-table restaurant. The menu changes based on what season, except for this particular recipe, this dessert. It's not even on the menu. It's kind of like a secret menu. You just have to know about it. It's called The Beast. Well, I'm 800 miles away. I get it every time I go, but I've been telling Jen, I said, I'm really craving that Beast, but it's not next door. So I started thinking, all right, how can we duplicate it and replicate it? I surfed YouTube. I really wanted to do a homemade brownie from scratch. I also wanted to make homemade marshmallows. So we went through and saw many videos, and we picked out the two that we thought we liked the best. We replicated it, and then we put it together and put it on the smoker and toasted it. So this has been a really long trial and error to get to this point, but we think it's amazing. And we made our final version a couple weeks ago, and we invited the neighbors over. She has 4 kids, and because we just didn't want to be stuck with a whole bunch of brownies and marshmallows, like let's give it to them. And she said it was the best dessert she's ever had her whole life. Oh, so wow. I don't know if it was that good, but it's pretty amazing. So like I said, we'll reference the videos that we kind of used as inspiration for the brownie and the marshmallows. We'll also reference, the restaurant down below in the link. If you're ever in Central Coast, I do recommend you go visit his restaurant. In fact, we went over 4th of July, and we changed our whole vacation dates because it turned out he was closing for 4 or 5 days. We were like, there's no way in hell we're driving 800 miles and not going to go see him. So all that stuff will be referenced in there. On the marshmallows, we had a start yesterday. So I actually recorded that solo. So we'll go into the marshmallows, and we'll go into the brownie, and then the assembly of the dessert. First thing to do before we get started is to take a baking dish, wrap it in foil, and then spray a good amount of nonstick. Be fairly liberal with it because this is where the marshmallow is going, and obviously the nonstick will prevent it from sticking to the foil. So be generous with that. After we get the pan ready, we're going to put a half a cup of cold water into a KitchenAid mixer. And then I'm going to put 4 packets of gelatin, and we're just going to let that sit for at least 15 minutes. Started, prepare all your ingredients. So I have a half a cup of water, 2 cups of sugar, 1/3 of a cup corn syrup, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then I have an instrument thermometer. We already have a half a cup of water in the pot. Now we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of corn syrup. I'm going to turn it on medium-high. And then I got 2 cups of granulated sugar. I'm going to pour this in. Now make sure you do your best not to get any on the sides, because you don't want it to crystallize. Slowly pour that in. Then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can swirl the mixture from time to time, but don't stir it. We're going to continue letting this boil for 6 to 8 minutes. What we're really going for is 240 degrees. So keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't go past that. I got my whisk attachment. I'm just going to give the gelatin a quick mix just to break it back up. Low. I'm going to slowly dump my corn syrup. Alright, now I'm going to increase my speed, slowly get it to full speed. We're going to let this mix for at least 10 minutes, maybe 12, but we'll check it here, like I said, about 10 minutes. I will add a couple of teaspoons of vanilla, but so at least go 8 or 9 minutes before we actually check it. Here it is after about 7 minutes. We still got about 3 more minutes to go. This definitely isn't even close to being thick enough yet. Another 2 minutes, I'll throw in the vanilla. It's been a little over 10 minutes. Now this part here, you need to work fast because you don't want your marshmallow to cool down, become really thick. I did coat the spatula with some cooking oil to kind of help with it. And again, don't worry too much about it. You're really more for a speed than anything. We already coated, and we're going to drop this in there. Spread it around as even as you can get it. Here's our marshmallow. I got it spread out pretty good. You're not going to get it perfect. It cools down way too fast. But you just want to make it be level. Like these are going to be melted anyway. It's the taste that you're going after here, right? If you know you were doing something where it was actually display, you might want to take a little more time. But for our uses, this is perfect. I took a half a cup of powdered sugar and a half a cup of cornstarch and just mixed it together. And we're going to lightly just coat it on there. Nice layer on top. Get good coverage. Doesn't have to be thick, just more about the coverage. We're going to save the rest of this mixture for tomorrow when we cut the marshmallows. So put it in a safe place. Final step, cover it in saran wrap. All right, and leave this on the counter at least 8 hours, but we'll leave it overnight. It'll probably be a good 18 hours before we actually get to it, but it won't hurt. Here's our marshmallows. It's been about 16 hours since we've put these in here. They've just been sitting on the counter since then, covered in plastic. Okay, what I'm gonna do first is sprinkle some powdered sugar on the cutting board. Be as liberal as you want on it. Okay. And we'll just turn this upside down. And it comes out that easy. We're going to sprinkle a little bit more powdered sugar on top. Alright, you may not be able to see it. I took my chef's knife, my cutting knife, and I sprayed it with canola oil, non-stick spray. And that will just help with the cutting. And we'll cut about 1 inch apart. If you find it starts sticking, you can respray your knife with more spray. Alright, once you got them all cut, you just go back now and make little squares. So I'm just putting the marshmallows in the same bowl as the powdered sugar. Do about 3 or 4 at a time. Toss them around. If you use a bigger bowl, you can always put more marshmallows in there. And then I'm going to throw them in the sifter. Just tap off the excess. And throw them in another bowl. Now we got a bowl full of marshmallows. You can use this for anything, hot cocoa, you know, some caramel popcorn, whatever you want. But we're gonna use them for brownies. Just put these in an airtight bag or container, and they'll be good for about 2 weeks. But if you're like my house, they won't last that long. Okay, we got 2 bars of semi-sweet chocolate. We bought Ghirardelli, but any semi-sweet will work. So for a total of 8 ounces. So after cut up the chocolate bar, I put it in a bowl. I have a 1/4 cup of Dutch chocolate powder. She recommends Dutch over her cocoa powder.
Okay.
We're gonna go with that.
Well, I know I've tried different cocos, and it really can make a difference, the quality of the chocolate.
Right. And we buy Dutch chocolate because we like to make chocolate milk powder too. So we use Dutch chocolate for that. And then I got a tablespoon of espresso. Just to add, enhances the flavor a little bit.
Yeah, I add espresso or coffee to almost anything chocolate.
And then I melted 1.5 cups of butter, and we're just gonna pour that in. And we're just give it a little stir just to help it all melt together.
This is a nice way to do it so your chocolate doesn't seize.
You can smell that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, next we're gonna put our dry goods into a bowl.
Okay.
So we'll start off with, I put 2 cups of granulated sugar and 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar.
Okay.
2 teaspoons of salt.
That's kind of a lot of salt.
Yeah, and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla.
And you know, that's interesting too. Guys, vanilla does count, the kind of vanilla you use. If you ever use vanilla bean instead of vanilla, it matters.
Yeah,
it makes a
definitely.
big difference.
And then in a separate bowl, I already cracked 6 eggs. These were room temperature. So I'm going to use the handy hand mixer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop 1 egg in first, start mixing it, and then I'll start slowly adding the other ones, mostly just protect from splashing. It's going to be loud, so it won't be any talking.
Yep. AJ, you actually whipped this a lot longer than they're going to be able to see on the video. Why did you whip it for so long?
I just want to get a lot of air in there, make it as fluffy as possible. So I probably went, 8 or 9 minutes to whip it.
And that's going to make a real difference on the height of the brownie?
Yeah, it won't be as dense. And now what I'm going to do is continue whipping it. I'm going to continue whipping it and just slowly drop the sugar, or the chocolate in there.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's lovely.
It's almost like art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now we're going to add a cup of flour, a 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. Again, this is the
Dutch again?
And just sift it in there. And just fold it.
The reason that we're sifting and folding rather than mixing is that we beat in a whole bunch of air, and we don't want to deflate that air now with the heavier solid ingredients again. So it's even like when you do a souffle, a lot of these kind of things, there comes a time when you go to folding just so that you don't get rid of the air.
Our flour and cocoa is folded in good. I have a pan, and my wife buttered it, and then she put parchment paper down and she buttered it again. So we're just going to dump this in there.
You know, I do something similar, only I use the spray. So I'll spray the bottom, put the parchment paper, and then spray the parchment paper. Hey, AJ, you know you want to just lick your finger.
I do.
Oh, there we go.
As I mentioned, we're going to put it in the smoker at 350. Obviously, if you have an oven, which everybody probably does, you can use that. you're just the only reason why I use a smoker is still kind of warm here, and we don't want to heat up the house. So
Yeah.
at 350, you don't get a lot of smoke because the higher your temperature is, the less smoke. So don't worry about that. When we did this the other day, between the marshmallows, I think I couldn't even really taste the smoke.
Oh, okay.
So whatever you want, oven, smoker, whatever works. Probably about 45, 50 minutes.
Okay.
So on the video, she has you halfway through, check it, and then you slam it against the countertop. I guess that helps with the weight or distribution or something. But
yeah, and that crappy, beautiful top.
yeah, so we'll do that at the 20-minute mark. Our brownies are done, and we put marshmallows on top of each brownie.
Oh, no, not just marshmallows. What kind of marshmallows?
Homemade marshmallows. And we're going to put these on the Rectech at 700 just to get it melted and gooey. Again, if you have a regular oven, that's fine too. I'm guessing 5, 6, 7 minutes. Just keep an eye on it and you'll know when they're ready to come out.
So do these melt the same way as the store-bought, or are they anything different about them?
I think they melt a little bit better.
Okay.
A little word of advice, we've tried this recipe a couple times. And the first time I tried it, I literally just took a torch and tried to toast it on top. I didn't put it in the oven or the Rectech. It was too filling and too rich. So when you get it actually fully melted, it takes on a different consistency, and it's not nearly as rich. So you definitely want to make sure you melt it in the oven. Don't just do a torch like I did the first go around.
Okay, great.
So I just pull these out. I'm gonna give them a quick toasting with the torch. This is where I need to launch my camera.
Oh! And we have BMO supervising for safety.
Here, let's taste it.
And what is this called again?
He calls it the Beast.
Hey, I'll let it be the Beast. Yep. I need a whole one, not one to share.
Yeah. That's right, we got plenty. So we actually made a bunch of these. We got a whole house full of them. Like I said, it's full of Life Flatbread is a restaurant. I think I said foods at the beginning. We'll reference the videos that we used to inspire this. The other thing too is I did make these brownies on the smoker. You could obviously make it on an oven. Again, we don't want to heat up the house. 350 on the smoker, you're not going to get a lot of smoke. I don't know if you really taste it or not.
I think a little bit though.
Yeah.
Or the
And I made it from the marshmallow
yeah.
on the smoker.
Yeah. And we can play with fire in this one, right?
That's right. And we did torch it. He makes it one of those stone pizza ovens, so he always has a little bit of smoke.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like his thing, flatbread, and he puts that smoke oven. But again, you do the oven. This is a great recipe. This is probably one of my favorite desserts too. Join us every Thursday for great food. I highly encourage if anybody tries anything, try this one. That's probably our favorite so far. And subscribe and hit the bell. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can like us on Facebook.
And taste, savor, and enjoy.
Okay.